Good morning. Welcome to this class. This morning or this afternoon, wherever you are, we'll be practicing shoulder stand, preparations for shoulder stand. So it will be Chatushpadasana, shoulder stand, Halasana, Eka Pada, Karnapidasana, and Halasana. And then finally a resting pose. All right, so let's get started. Before we get started, if you want to learn the basics of Iyengar yoga, I've designed a new course, Foundational Iyengar Yoga. This course is for you if you're a beginner, if you've been practicing for a while and you just want to deepen your understanding, or if you're a teacher and you would like to be more inspired, go back to the basics. So it's a 6-week course, 18 different classes, and you'll be able to go through at your own pace. You can find more details in the description box below. To begin with, I'm sitting on the props that you'll need. So I have one blanket here that's folded in half, which I've placed over this. So this is a pad, a foam pad, with one blanket. Alternatively, you can use a few blankets. So whatever you have there, you want to make sure that this front edge, where you're going to have your head and your neck, are folded nicely so that it's not going to be uneven on the left or the right. Now I'm bringing another blanket over that so my head will not be on the mat. So if I need to lift my head and lengthen, I can. Okay, and then the distance that I'm measuring away from the wall, there's no particular distance right now. We'll work on Chatushpadasana. So I'm coming down onto the platform. Move your hips away. You want to end up with your shoulders just about a thumb's length away. So your whole neck is supported there. And I can feel with my thumbs, the shoulders are both even. So you want to make sure if one shoulder is lifted up more, bring both shoulders onto that platform and evenly. And then you're going to take your hands and grab hold of the sides of the mat. From here, walk your feet in. And as you press your feet into the floor, you'll lift up, giving some space so you can adjust your shoulders. So here, I'm going to roll one shoulder under and then the other shoulder under. So just show you again. As you press the feet, lift the backs of the thighs, lift the hips up, tailbone into the body. And now I'm a little bit higher even. I'm pressing my feet, lengthening the thighs, and tuck the shoulders under a little bit more. Hold onto that side. Press the outer shoulders down. Pulling with the mat, lift the chest. So I'm preparing the back body to get that opening through the front body and also the rotation of the shoulders. Preparing the legs are active, buttocks moving up. Stay there for a few breaths. Be evenly balanced on the feet, front of the foot, the heel, and lift up. Back ribs moving toward the front chest. And then come down. And now you'll roll to your side. And now I'm going to set up a little bit closer to the wall so you can I'm going to take this blanket away and bring the platform in closer. So you have to have enough space here for your hips to move in. I want the feet at a 90-degree angle. And then I'll take that blanket again. This blanket's not required. I just do that because I want to have a little cushioning for the head. Not so much cushioning, but not so held by that traction of the mat. Okay. I'll ask you to have a strap also. So you can take the strap and prepare the buckle so it's coming in through the bottom, down through the top. And you'll have this on the arms so it's going to be a tool for you to keep the elbows from spreading. Sometimes I take the mat back here, but since I'm showing at the wall, I'm not. So when you take the mat back in shoulder stand, it provides a little bit of traction. We'll do that later. Okay, so now with the elbows, bring the elbows back and make sure you can widen through the chest. So I'm going to take this strap a little bit looser. If you have tight shoulders, then take it even looser. All right, so I'm going to have my hands on my back, and the strap will be on my elbows. So coming into this, since you're closer to the wall, of course you'll have to adjust your position depending on your hip size and how much availability you have in being able to come down. You want to have your shoulders, like you did earlier, in Chatushpadasana. So the feeling with the thumbs that the shoulders are lined up. You can take your strap, bring your strap into your right hand, and then press your arms down. As you press your arms down, press the feet into the wall and lift up. Now I can feel that I'm sliding a bit on this blanket. So I'm going to come down, get a green mat. Okay, so I've got a green mat. So you have to be aware of what's happening with the props that you use. So because I was sliding, I'm going to take a mat here for my elbows so that I can press into that instead of the arms sliding and sliding off that blanket. Okay, so you want the mat as close to where you're going to place your shoulders as you can so the shoulders don't slide. All right, so let's approach this one more time. Coming in, moving your hips in. So it's a little tight. So once I get up, I'm going to roll my shoulders under a little bit more. All right, so with the strap on my right hand, pressing the elbows down, press the shoulders down also. If I don't press the shoulders down, then tendency will be to slide off, with or without the mat. Now I'm taking my hands on my back, walking the hands down, and as I do that, I'm tucking each shoulder under, okay, so that I'm more on the tops of the shoulders than the backs of the shoulders. Put the strap on, and now it feels a little loose, so I'm going to tighten it. Press into the elbows, and then interlace your fingers. Extend each arm from the shoulder, walking the hands down closer to the wall, and then bring the buttocks forward, tailbone forward. Press the arms down behind you, and lift the chest. Stay there. So this is like Chatushpadasana that we were doing earlier, but now we're using the wall instead of the feet on the floor. Press the feet. You can feel maybe the back of the head caught slightly. Lengthen the neck, but don't turn the head. Keep your gaze facing towards your body, towards your chest. And then take your hands on your back. Have the fingers facing in toward the spine, thumbs on the side, and walk your hands down the back. So now your hands are not lifting your back up, but giving a direction. So here I can lift a little bit more. I'm going to bring the thighs more parallel to one another, and just be there. Lift the buttock, tailbone moving in, stay with your breath. And roll the outer shoulders down toward the floor, and lengthen from the shoulders to the elbow. And then, keeping the left foot pressed into the wall, straighten the right leg. So just look at your legs. You want to have both thighs parallel. If I bring my toes onto the wall, I can bring my buttock forward toward the pelvis and get a little bit more length there. So depending on how you've measured, how close you can get to the wall, if you want to get a little bit more lift, you can walk your hands down and also use the toes at the wall. All right, we'll do the other side. So first with the foot pressing into the wall, lift the leg up. Keep the leg in line with the other thigh. So not bringing the leg over, but keeping that leg
parallel. And now I'm going to come onto the toes again, move the buttock in, move the buttock forward, and reach up. So as I descend the shoulders, lift up through the side trunk, paying attention to that lift and the lift of the hips and the movement of the buttock. And then bring your foot back to the wall. Press one more time, lift the chest. And now you're going to take your hands and arms out of that strap, coming down. Extend your arms over, stretch your legs out. Have a few breaths there. And now you'll bend your knees and we'll roll to the side. I'm going to take the blankets away from the wall so we won't use the feet at the wall, and I'm going to add a chair. So get a chair when you come out. Coming up. Okay, I've added the chair, I've added the bolster. So the hips will be on the bolster, and when you go back, we'll be bringing the legs over to the chair. So coming into this, hips on the bolster, it'll make it easier for you to go up. If the bolster's not required, but you can use something else there if you need it, or start with your hips on the floor. And now, I'm going to press my arms into that bolster, lift up, tuck the shoulders, pressing down, lift up, and then coming down, press the elbows down. I'm close enough to the wall still. I can lift and push. Bring the legs over to the chair. Find that seat of the chair, be on the ball points of the toes, that's the very tippy toes, and then take your strap and bring it around your arms again. Again, you can lengthen each arm from the shoulder, lengthening through the hands. Press the hands and the arms, the forearms, into that bolster. And as you do that, lift the chest up. So you're using that downward action of the arms, press of the feet to get that lift through the side trunk. And of course, you'll be using your legs as well. So the fronts of the thighs are pressing up toward the back of the thighs. Outer hips are lifting. And then take your hands on your back. Fingers facing towards you, toward the spine, towards your center. Keep the toes on the chair. Keep that leg lifted. And then you're going to bring the other leg up, Eka Pada, like we did at the wall. Pressing up through the mounds of the toes. Spread your toes. Lift the kneecaps. And then just watch that outer hip, the hip you can see facing the floor, that it's lifting up, so it's not sinking toward the floor. And with that, you're lifting both hips. Your hands are on your back, and your back ribs are moving towards your front chest. Stay with your breath. Buttocks moving in. Lift up through that top leg. Let your breath be relaxed, passive, quiet. And then you're going to bring the leg down. Find the other toes, find its mate. Walk the hands back down the back. Outer shoulders moving down. Press into the toes on the chair and lift the other leg up. So you're lifting from the inner thigh. So you can see that outer hip is not going out, but it's moving in. Both hips are moving in towards one another. And then press up through the ball of the foot. Keep the lower leg, thigh, moving up toward the back of the thigh, up toward the ceiling. In this position, excuse me, you're in Jalandhar Bandha, which is one of our locks that we use for several asanas, but also pranayama. So you can hear my voice is not as clear because the throat passage is more narrowed. So feel the breath there. And then exhale, come down. Bring both feet to the chair. Walk your hands down your back a little bit more. And then you bring one leg up. And come into full shoulder stand. Walk the other leg up. You can see your feet, your heels. So connect the big toes, connect the inner heels. Connect the inner ankles if you can. And draw the thighs towards one another. You can see your kneecaps. Keep the kneecaps in line with your legs, both the upper leg and the lower leg. Spread the toes, press up through the mounds of the feet, and use that to help you lift and lengthen the legs. Stay with your breath. Releasing your shoulders down, lengthening from your shoulders to your elbows. Make some space there at the side of the neck. Buttock forward. If your knees are going out or your toes are going out, roll the inner thigh towards one another. So the inner thigh is moving toward that back wall. And then we're going to come out. We're not going to hold these very long, but just so you can see how to go into the practice and come out. Now we're going to bend the knees, take the feet on the front of the chair, come into Karnapidasana. So I'm bending the knees, I'm bending at the hip socket, knees are coming down toward the ears. And then I'll straighten the legs, come back into Halasana. This is Ardha Halasana. Walk your hands down. One more time, we'll come up into Sarvangasana, Salamba Sarvangasana. Reach up. Buttocks forward. Sorry, just be with passive breath, staying aware of your inhalation and your exhalation. And then we'll come back into Karnapidasana. This time, I'm going to take my feet onto the floor with the knees bent. If it's not possible for you to take your feet on the floor, then you stay with your feet on the chair again. Still lengthening the back, moving the shoulders down. I'm using the hands to support. You can also take the hands out of the strap and bring your arms over onto your calves, depending on your practice and what's available for you in your body. And now I'm going to come into Halasana. So I'm going to take my arms back behind me, interlace the fingers, extend the arms, come back onto the outer shoulders, and then extend the legs. If that's too much for you, you can either have a bolster there or you can bring your legs back onto the chair like we did earlier. Press the hands down, roll the outer tips of the shoulders toward the floor. Keep the thighs and the hips lifting. Observe your breath. Stay with that passive breath. For some of you, you'll be able to change the direction of the hands. You can turn the palms out to face the wall. Press the arms down, lift the hips up. Again, for the others, if you were not able to go all the way to the floor, it's perfectly fine to stay in Ardha Halasana. Now we'll prepare to come down, so you take your hands onto the bolster, start to walk your feet and your hips toward the wall. Press the hands, press the arms, and slowly descend. Bring your hips onto that bolster, your feet onto the floor. And then you'll slide off. Coming to Chatushpadasana, you can bring your arms to the side, making sure your entire shoulder girdle has come off that platform, and then straighten the legs. I'm close enough to the wall now, I can press my feet into the wall, lengthen the heels, descend the thighs. But there's still that slight lift of the chest. If you're not at the wall, that's fine. Just extend your heels. You can even bring your feet a little bit higher onto the wall. If because of that platform it makes it difficult to extend your legs, then stay with the feet at the wall. Observe your breath now. So we've had that lift of the chest, that inversion, to help us to bring a bit of a change to the mind and the body. So observe your mind now. Observe that quietness of the breath, quietness of your being. And now you'll bend your knees, and you're going to turn to the side, and we're going to sit on the platform, and we'll just rest the head on the chair. So turning, press yourself up slowly, and then sit on your platform, and you can bring your chair closer to you. I like to keep it at a slant so you can lengthen the back body. Coming forward, forearms on the chair, rest your head. As you rest your head, you can feel that the neck is resting as well. Shoulders are moving in a more restful position to release from shoulder stand if you had any tension that was created there. Passive breath. Observing that stillness, that quietness. And then we're going to come up, change the cross on the legs, change the cross on the arms. Staying quiet, keeping the eyes relaxed. Making that change, bring your forehead right between the eyebrows, right onto the forearms. If this chair was not high enough, you could also have a bolster on the chair. Rest your forearms on the bolster. Keep your shoulders relaxed, so the shoulders are not moving up towards your head, but they're descending. And with that softness of the breath, just let the whole shoulder girdle release and soften. And then we'll come up and get ready for Savasana.
So you can take your chair. Okay, so I've removed my platform, and I'm just going to keep the chair here to come into Shavasana. I'll bring my hips in, and now the back is still lengthening, but here you have the support of the floor. Calves are resting, the thighs are moving down into the hip socket, and you can take your arms again on the sides of the mat and get that slight rotation of the shoulders. Not as much as you had in shoulder stand, but there's still that turning of the shoulders. You're flat on the shoulder blades, and then release the hands down. Just allow the abdomen to move down so you can feel your lower back on the floor. And as you allow that weight to come onto the calves, onto the chair, release the femur bones down. For some of you, you may feel that the neck is being pulled back. So just, you can have a blanket, have that folded blanket from your setup or a pillow, and bring that right up to the tops of the shoulders. Support your entire neck. And you can take your hand at the back of the head. You have the two bones, the occipital bones, lengthen the back of the neck so the chin comes closer to the throat, so the throat is relaxed completely. So before you were in that Jala Narabandha, and there was a lot of shortening and narrowing of that throat passage. Now it's just relaxed completely. Back of the head is right, resting on the center of the back of the head. You can feel all the limbs and the trunk supported in a way that helps to release further and further with each breath. So just come back to the breath and just maintaining that quiet state of mind, state of body. Allow the breath to guide you deeper and deeper, extending your exhalation. Just allowing yourself aware of your experience, aware of the state of your being. I will leave you here. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed that Sarvangasana and the preparation for that as much as I did. You can notice the difference in your state of mind after you do such a practice. So I encourage you to take the time to add that to the end of your practices on the different classes that I've done that haven't included the inversion, just so that we can keep some of the classes a little bit shorter. So you can add and subtract where you need to, but include this in your practice. All right? Good to see you. Enjoy, and I see you next time. Namaste.